Oh, it's
And our boy Cam Newton. Cam Newton's a friend of the channel. I think we've talked about Cam Newton enough that we can consider him a friend of the channel. Was recently involved in fisticuffs. So
no.
Cam Newton is out here fighting, y'all. You know, we'll go ahead and we will go ahead and provide some context here. So this was the scuttlebutt on various sports shows on Monday, where people were kind of getting into this fight that Cam Newton was involved in at a 7-on-7 football event in Atlanta. So there's no audio to the fight itself, and it's a brief clip, but we'll go ahead and kind of show y'all here what it is that we are talking about. So as you can see here, just look for the big tall guy wearing the goofy hat. That is, of course, Cam Newton. Well, we about to get hit with.
Oh man. Hey, no free shout outs, TurboTax. We're gonna need a I'm gonna need a check for this. Can't believe they did that.
Yeah, how lame is that, man?
You know they
But
gotta
so
get
here, so yeah, there's no audio here, right? So there's two coaches, and they were getting at Cam Newton because of an escalating situation involving Cam Newton and what people thought was unsavory behavior on his part. And eventually, people came in and broke it up. You see the police get involved, kind of break things up, and people were talking about this throughout some of the various sports shows on Monday, at least, because this happened over the weekend, of course.
Hmm.
And there's Cam, and they got him separated, and now he's walking in the other direction. Eventually, they had to tell him that he had to leave the premises. Him and the other guys who were involved in the fight had to leave. No charges were filed. Nobody got arrested or anything like that. But the people who were involved in the fight itself simply had to leave the grounds. Now, this article says coaches involved in Cam Newton fight reveal what led to altercation with NFL quarterback. NFL MVP quarterback Cam Newton went viral on Sunday after footage surfaced on social media of a brawl that broke out during a 7-on-7 football tournament in Atlanta. Two of the men involved in the altercation, coaches TJ and Steph Brown, say Newton's actions throughout the weekend ultimately led to the physical skirmish that started with him grabbing Steph first before TJ threw a punch. It should have never gotten to that, TJ told Fox News Digital on Monday. Unfortunately, the situation was one that TJ and Steph, who run top shelf performances, 7-on-7 teams while providing training for wide receivers at all levels, saw festering not just this weekend, but for quite some time. They have had a relationship with Newton, the first overall pick in the 2011 NFL draft, who won league MVP with the Carolina Panthers in 2015. Since 2020, when Newton appointed TJ head coach of one of his C1N 7-on-7 teams, Steph eventually came into the fold after coaching college ball, becoming Newton's wide receivers coach and a member of his offensive support staff. Let me see if I can scroll down here to what eventually was going on. TJ and Steph were called taunting beginning from Newton's side prior to the game even starting. It was it was nothing new for teams to share some bars before going at it on the field, no matter the sport. However, they felt it was personal. As we're warming up, you see in most of the videos, Cam has this chant where he's like, "Hey yo." So he yells it over on the sideline. Then he tells them, "Man, y'all go over there and do it to them too," TJ explained. So all the players run up on us and they're like, "Hey yo," mind you, he knows a lot of our players don't mess with his players. And some of them are cool. Obviously, as they're running up on our players, the Wee Ball Sports folks, they recording it. All I said to the camera was, "Don't delete the film when I beat him this time," because the last time I beat him, the last three times I beat them, all of a sudden there's no film. We didn't record anything. We took pictures. Sunday comes. I'm walking through the parking lot, walking up the field. He recounted. Cam jumps out of his car and yells, "Hey, y'all, that sorry S ain't going to work today. What we betting today? What we betting?" I'm like, "I ain't betting you, bro. I already beat you 3, 4 times. You got to beat me first." He's like, "What we betting? I got plenty of money. I ain't never running out of money." That's when I told him. That's when I told him, "That's your problem. All you care about is money. You think money is everything. You can't buy me," and I walk off. Newton's,
Oh.
Newton's team began to play in Sunday's slate of games, and TJ noted that he was taunting TSP despite not being opponents in the game. Then, when it was TSP's turn to start playing, Newton was at the top of a flight of stairs, hurling taunts down at the TSP coaches and players on the field. It's probably 3 minutes into the game. He's sitting up top with all his kids around him under a tent, yelling down on us. TJ said, Hey, I know that play. That's my stuff. I'll taught y'all everything y'all know. I'm y'all daddy. I made y'all. I'm the reason for everything y'all got going on. He's just yelling all this stuff. One anonymous parent who was present for the altercation on Sunday confirmed to Fox News Digital that Newton had been taunting those on the field. Steph went up to confront Newton after their game to talk about what was being said, which is when things began to escalate. TJ was just walking up the long staircase when video shows Newton grabbing Steph by his jacket after they were face to face trading words. So, based on this, it kind of looks like Cam was the instigator. And it kind of looks like Cam was the one who kind of incited everything. And those two coaches were just responding to Cam escalating the situation with taunts and all kinds of other jibber jabber. So this obviously does not make Cam look bad. He, of course, is on the defensive, saying that this was not all on him, but not really a very good looking situation. What are your thoughts on this particular thing?
uh, you know, I mean, the story there is it's really one sided. Um, but I could see some of that. I could see some of that happening. It was definitely personal. So I know it was definitely back and forth, and especially if bro beat Cam, uh, three previous times. So it was. I'm pretty sure there was some back and forth banters that was a little too much. He probably did throw money out there. I believe that. Now the part where he was like, "See, that's your problem right there. You just care too much about money," and I just walked away. I was like, "Nah, you didn't just walk away, and you didn't just say that." So that's the part where I was like, "This feels a little one sided." But at the same time, this feels atypical. This, unfortunately, man, this sounds like behavior at your local park. When guys are just making it a little too personal, and then they get the scuffling. But, somebody throws money out there because that's always the thing. I got more money than you. You want to bet? This sounds real local park stuff. It's just wild that it's happening with Sir Cam, um, who at least parades himself around as a well thought out person. Somebody that thinks before they act and all this other stuff. So for him to be involved in a situation that clearly seemed avoidable was the disappointment there. Last thing I'll say here is that one thing that I am seeing a lot of is a lot of, now this may be your point, but I don't know. But I'm seeing a lot of people talking. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people talking about, oh, you black people, we can't even do things for the young people fighting and woo. And it's just like, look, man, things happen nowadays. We just got phones. Is it a good look? No, it's not. Should that have happened? No, it shouldn't have. But shit happens when you're dealing with people, man. And so it sucks that it had to come to that, but things like that do go down. Nah, man, there's things that we complain about as far as how the youth are conducting themselves or how they're handling themselves, but this was the adults.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the adults. So for all those people that were initially talking about, oh, these kids and this and this and that and the disrespect and they just jump in Cam and woo, I don't know, but this definitely sound mutual from its inception. These both of these guys wanted action somehow, some way. Because even if you're being interrogated by Cam and he's hounding you and yelling at you, if you really about that action, you gonna give it to him because he asking for it. But if you wanted to avoid that, it was clearly avoidable too. So I just think that this was just typical. This was typical stuff that happens at the park with people that aren't mature. So this is an immature thing. There's kids watching. I feel like these two adults should have handled themselves better. I don't think this is any indictment towards shades of colors or any communities. I just think these are two people that were not thinking with a mature mindset when all of this stuff was going down, because it was clearly avoidable in my opinion. So what about you, sir? What are your thoughts on Cam Newton getting into fisticuffs with several or a couple of coaches?
Yeah, I don't really care about the race angle. That to me is, I saw. Yeah, of course, Stephen A. Smith brought that up, and
I see. Well,
I just I don't I ignore. There's no racial angle to this to me,
yeah,
and the reason why is because it's football. By percentage, the majority of the people who play football are black. It's like basketball. It's like a fight breaking out of the basketball tournament, and you want to talk about how black people love fighting. Like, it's basketball. If a fight breaks out at a baseball game, are you going to be talking about how Latino love fighting? No.
right.
We're like, you have to pay attention to the context around the event. Like,
Agreed.
it's basketball and football. You know, black people participate in other activities as well, and fights don't be breaking out. So this ain't got nothing to do with any kind of racial angle. It was a football tournament, and so, if we're going to play it by the numbers, statistically by and large, the majority of the enrollment in these sports are people from our community. So if there is an incident that is going to occur, there's a very high likelihood black people are going to be involved. So
Correct.
if you want to stretch that out to make some kind of an observation on race, you go ahead and you connect those jaggedy dots. But otherwise, that to me is irrelevant. It doesn't exist, and so I largely ignore that. But
Mm.
with Cam Newton, um, I honestly think that this is, I'm not saying that he's at fault or that he did anything wrong per se. I was not there,
Right.
but I feel like it's consistent with his personality.
It
Cam
sounds like
Newton,
him.
Cam Cam Newton is like Cam Newton strikes me as an extrovert. He's one of those people who's in your face. Like, he's one of those guys who will wear you out at a party.
Yeah, he
That's
don't
kind of
have an
how I
off
feel.
button.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't. And he gets off on he Cam Newton receives energy from just being around you and talking and being in the mix. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feeds him. Like, other
Uh,
people need to kind of work themselves up for that, and then they need a period where they recharge the battery.
right.
Cam Newton's battery isn't charged unless he's in that kind of a situation.
Correct.
So when you charge people like that up and then you incite them in any kind of way, there's a chance that things can escalate. So I'm not saying that either side was right or wrong. I'm
Hmm.
just saying that I get it. Like, I understand what happened here, because
Hmm.
you probably got a bunch of domineering males at a
Right.
football tournament and nobody wants to concede anything. And
Right.
so eventually it's just going to escalate. And if you look at other aspects of Cam Newton's life, I mean, the dude is out there. The dude is out there. You know what I'm saying? 5 kids, 6 on the way. You know, you know how many different, you know what I'm saying? Like, the guys, and even more kids if you include the stepchildren. Not that that's a sole way to kind of indicate things, but it's a part of the equation of Cam Newton. Don't get it twisted. So, this is just, an example of humans in certain environments doing what humans do. And Cam Newton being one of those gregarious, extroverted, you know, energy eating type guys. I can understand how this kind of stuff would happen, because based upon these accounts, it kind of seems like he just started with the taunting all by himself. Like, nobody kind of revved up his engine. He just started going in. He just started going in. And if you are somebody who fancies themselves, um, you know, not likely to back down, things might escalate. So, I think it looks bad on Cam's part only because it never really looks good to be fighting publicly. I do not think that this is about black folks and black people, and this is not race, okay? Because if this is about race, then every time, like I said, if a fight breaks off at a soccer tournament, y'all better talk about race then too,
Right.
because there's going to be a bunch of Latino people in that, And if the black people fighting at a football tournament is about race, then Hispanic people fighting at a soccer tournament, that's about race too. Latino people fighting, at a baseball tournament, that better be about race too. Uh, White people at rugby, that better be about race too. You know what I'm saying? So get the
Mm-hmm.
race thing out of here. I don't like that. That's the problem with this sports stuff. We really do feel like culturally this is. I want to go down the rabbit hole on that.
I
I'm
feel
gonna
you.
leave
Hey, I
that. I'm
feel
gonna
you
leave.
though, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that for. I'm gonna leave that for a more appropriate time because that's not what this is about. I'm not trying to get off topic,
Right,
but the
right.
race thing to me is not relevant. This is merely about humans being humans, and I would just say for Cam, you know what I'm saying. This puts you in the spotlight because it just never looks good to be somebody who's fighting in public. Everything else, though, to me is whatever.
Yep. Agreed, man. And yeah, it's not a good look, man. It's been some bad looks today, bro. All of our stuff has just been, just optically it looks crazy. For all of these situations. So yeah, this one's no different. So um yeah, that was spot on analysis. I couldn't really quite put my finger on it, but he does come off as a person that doesn't have an off switch. He chills now. Don't get me wrong, but when
If
he's
you put
turned
him in,
up,
if he's in a crowd,
yeah, that's
that's the
yeah,
thing. Like if
yeah.
you get him around a lot of people and he can be the center of attention,
Oh yeah.
it's over with. Yeah,
Now
yeah,
that I agree with, and you can tell. Hey, I'm an eccentric guy too, so I got a little bit of that. But this guy's he look at him. He's wearing one of those hats on the football field. This guy doesn't know when to stop. So yeah, I mean, I get it, man. So I just wish he handled himself a little bit uh, more mature in that
yeah.
context. But again, man, we're dealing with CTEs and yeah, XYZs. So ain't no telling what's really going on up there. So but yeah, man, just tighten up, bro. Be a better example out there for those kids, man. I understand you trying to change lives, man. And don't go out there acting like how you trying to have them not act like. And
Right.
if somebody trying to somebody trying to pull your card, if you do got enough money to bet on a little game like this, and you got more guap than anybody can handle, then you should be then you should be conducting yourself as such, so these young men can get a real example on how to handle yourself when you're dealing with an aggressor. So in either context, I'm looking at Cam here as the holder of the event, the responsible person, to be more responsible in that context. So
Right.
that's my only condemnation for this here. So
Yeah.
tighten up, Cam. Tighten up.
Yeah, he does. He does need to tighten up. You got to learn that if you do have the bag, then you are the one who's responsible for being, not to sound redundant, responsible.
Right.
And clearly Cam is still in turn up mode. And so
He in that mode.
yeah.
Shaq told him, "Boy, get about that. He for the screen. He for the screen."
Yeah, yeah, that is a fact. Yeah. Shouts out to Cam, man. Just, put the fist down and tell your boys to just go out there and perform on the field, man.
And like and subscribe, bro. Skirt,
Yeah.
skirt, skirt, skirt.